follow the signs to the end of the road. And don't let the rain make you lose control. And don't be afraid when it's time to go. Just follow your signs to the end of your road.
Hello, welcome to Paramusic TV. I'm Johnny Long, coming to you from North Carolina on a great rainy day. It's been raining all day here. But what I'm about to show you is some evidence from a case that I investigated here about, I think it was 2015. And it was a antique consignment shop that has been many buildings over the years. I think it was a nightclub, dance hall for quite a while, but it's a big building, probably about 5,000 square feet, give or take. I had a family member that began working there, and I guess over time one of the things that was happening was they had an alarm system, motion detection, that kept going off and bringing the police, and plus a few other things that were happening. They were hearing voices, things were moving, a lot of the basic stuff that's in any haunting. But anyway, they asked me to investigate, and I think I investigated the place like 3 times, probably each time a couple hours, 3 hours at a time. But it was an amazing building for activity. I mean, the EVPs, I still probably have missed EVPs that were in there, but to make a long story short, there seemed to be 3 major entities. They seemed to know one another. I caught a lot of evidence of them talking amongst themselves, commenting on things that were going on, because when I investigate, I have my digital recorder on pretty much the entire time. And there's a little girl, I think her name's Lizbeth. You'll understand why I say that here in a few minutes. Another one named Rick that seemed to be like a protector, and another one I think maybe named Jerry. They didn't give me their names like, I'm Jerry, I'm Rick. It was like one of them would say the other's names, so that's how I got the names. But I bonded, I guess you could say, with the little girl. And she's pretty much the first spirit that we came in contact with that really talked and answered questions. Brian, whom is also in my band, he's a sensitive, and his talents are kind of showcased in this particular video. He repeats things that are said on EVPs that I didn't hear that are there, and he is correct. So anyway, this is the Antique Consignment Shop in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. I won't give the name, and I don't even think the building is, I don't think it's in business of any kind right now. But listen to this evidence and see what you think. This was the first night of investigation. Brian had seen the spirit of a little girl running around the shop. He followed her until she stopped at a table that had a wooden stick horse lying on it, with some other items. He called me over and said that she was still there, and I started asking questions.
You like this horsey?
She said it's not her.
After a few moments, we continued exploring.
I can't say that I knew that the girl was with me, but I felt the urge to invite her to follow me. I engaged her as if I would if a real child was with me, talking to her and pointing out items, even though I could not see her, or was even certain she was still there. Like this clown too? You could follow us if you want. I made my way to a large dresser that had items displayed. It was a brush, a mirror, some other containers for powders and makeup, collectively called a bath kit. We had been told it would be constantly found rearranged. Again, not knowing what I had already captured, I continued engaging the little girl. Do you play with these things? Brush, mirror, a couple things I don't know what they're called. Do you know what they're called? Like, what's this? Not long after that, we concluded the investigation that night. We would return about 2 weeks later with some friends. One thing I had not mentioned earlier were the antique tree tongs displayed in the front of the building. The owners of the shop had told us there was activity that surrounded them. We received high EMF readings from them on the last investigation. When we came back, we were focusing on them again, still getting high EMF readings from them. Then we would hear the disembodied voice of a little girl, although there were no children in the building. There's the tree grabbers.
Yeah, we went down there to that yet. I'm gonna see if it's still dropping as much as it did last time. Oh yeah.
You still there?
It is right here.
This happens to us every time we deal with this object.
It's like 144. I did, but I thought that was something else.
I heard that too.
It sounded like never make that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like a girl?
Are you still in the back?
It was a female.
Yeah.
We all went back to the main room, and I addressed the spirits. Now things really began to break loose. You remember me? You remember us? Me and Brian and Rebecca? Got some new friends with us tonight. I always stick close to Brian because activity seems to follow.
Shine a door in here the other night.
When one of our friends asked the name of the little girl, I was still unsure even after I'd listened to the EVPs from the previous investigation, because it did not come from her directly. But I would learn that during this conversation, we were not alone.
What is her name? Do you know?
Yeah, I did get one kind of quick EVP that almost sounded like Lizbeth. But it came from the male spirit that's protective of her. It was. A few moments later, I decide to turn on the spirit box. Although I'm not certain, I believe it may be Rick that seems to object. This is the first time I know of that I've been called a name by a spirit. Do we want to use my spirit box here in a bit? Or? All right. All right. Again, we began focusing on the tree tongs. Brian asked a string of questions to the spirit attached to them and got an answer from the spirit box.
So you got these people scared at night. Is that your intention? Are you just trying to scare them? You think if you scare them enough, they'll leave? Do you feel like they're doing things you're doing they shouldn't be doing, or on your property? Or are you upset because they're selling your family heirloom? Or are you just attached to the people?
Yeah, good. Now came what I would call the paranormal wave, where there is a flurry of activity, then it stops cold. I was walking with my digital recorder. Brian and the others were probably about 20 feet away using the Ghost Radio app. When Brian asked the spirit to say something only we would understand, the app would say the name of Brian's son, Blaze. Then I heard a distant knock. At first I was unsure what I had heard. Then the second one came much louder. It came from an unfolded cardboard box that was propped up against the wall. It was so loud that I felt like my eyes went to the exact spot. It took a moment for it to sink in.
Tell us something that nobody else would know but us. We gotta prove that you really exist. That's what all this is about. Blaze. Did you say Blaze?
What about me?
I just heard a knock over here somewhere. I thought I heard something knock over here. And I think
Talking into that?
something knocked over here, and I think it knocked on that cardboard. It sounded like that.
Wow.
I was standing about over here.
Did you knock on the cardboard?
I had this going. I might have caught it on this.
Are you playing with Johnny?
I know it's hard to tell from this recording, but keep in mind that Brian and Blaze were a good 20 feet behind me, and the knock came from directly in front of me. I was probably about 6 feet away from the cardboard box. It was really confusing, because I know the box didn't move, and there was nothing to account for the knock that I could see. I've always felt there was more of a story to uncover. But after one more short investigation, the shop would close. I always wonder about this place and hope maybe someday I will get another chance to investigate this extremely active location.